And welcome to another episode of By the Railside Movie Review Podcast. With me today, I've got Jeff,
Hi, that's me.
Jordan, Justin,
Hello.
and myself, Zach. As usual, don't forget, after we finish recording the podcasts on Saturdays, we will be on twitch.tv/by the railside around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time to play games with each other, and sometimes we might even have you guys involved too. Also, this week, huge news: Schneider Cut released. Go watch it. Holy fuck, is it so much better than the original Justice League if you're into the superhero stuff. Now,
What is it's like deleted scenes and whatnot that are in it?
No, it's his actual release. So in the original, it was only like 10% of the movie that he had shot was in the actual release in 2017. He had to step away from the project because his daughter committed suicide. So they brought in another director to take over, and that director just fucked everything. So this is his actual script and vision for the movie.
Think of it as like you go to a restaurant and you order a fresh apple pie, and then what you get is like a pumpkin pie with a bunch of chunks of apple in it.
So did they like reshoot the movie, or is it just like what he had done up to when he stepped out?
Mostly, there was a little bit of stuff for reshoots and that, but it's mostly just his editing, what he actually shot, and then his actual even his script, because the other guy didn't even use he changed entire lines and stuff, pretty much rewrote the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't know the exact timeline, but I'm assuming Zack Snyder got the majority of the filming done. And then that happened, so he stepped away, and the other guy was like, "Yeah, I don't like the way this is going, so I'm going to change pretty much everything and just fuck up someone's day."
I see.
Yeah. This week, we didn't review this one, maybe some other time, but we reviewed The 13th Warrior, starring Antonio Banderas. And Jordan, tell us what it's about.
Well, this is a story about a Spaniard playing an Arab who falls in love with someone's wife, and fearing he might be cucked, he tattles to the ruler of the land, and he sends Antonio Banderas on a diplomatic mission far in the north, most likely basically just sentencing him to die. And along the way, he gets sidetracked by a side quest, and he goes and hangs out with some Vikings and takes care of some business with them. So you never actually find out where he's supposed to go or if he actually gets there. So it's just the side quest. This movie is all about side quests and cucking.
The movie actually turned out to be a massive box office blowout. Probably one of the worst in history, according to Wikipedia. Cost about $160 million with production and marketing, and it made $61 million worldwide. So,
like they were watching a movie from the 80s, even though it came out in 1999.
Yeah, it's hardcore. It's actually based off of a book. It was written by Michael Crichton, who ended up writing Jurassic Park. So Jordan had told me earlier that he actually, because of the success of Jurassic Park, everyone started buying the book rights for this guy, and then they made this one. And this guy only made 2 other movies after this one, and then he either retired or was blacklisted by Hollywood for being ass.
Yeah, I'm assuming the blacklisted. Although, the director did do some good stuff beforehand. I believe he directed Die Hard, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
What else?
Predator as well.
Yeah, The Hunt for Red October, Last Action Hero. So he did a lot of good stuff, and then he did this one, and then after this one he did Rollerball, which great movie, real bad, but great because it's so bad.
So apparently this movie also like had a reshoot before it even came out. Like it failed testing so bad that they reshot it. So I'm curious to how bad the other one was, because it used to be called Eaters of the Dead.
Yeah, that's
which makes more sense than 13th Warrior.
Yeah, that I think it was like the original story it was based off of. Was called Eaters of the Dead. And then so this movie was in production for about 3 years, I think. They did a test run, like you said, and the audiences didn't like it. I don't recall if it. I think it had something to do with the ending. Because in the ending that we saw, it was they kill the mother of the heathen tribe, and then they go down into a cave because that's the smartest thing you can do. Never look for a path that goes out of the cave. Always go farther in because that's how you get out. And then they find a secret tunnel and they swim to safety. But I think it might have been like they don't find that secret tunnel and then they end up just all dying in there. Maybe that was the original ending. I don't know. I gotta Google it.
Yeah. What do you guys think? What do you think, Jeff?
This movie was fucking horrendous. Like, but I first watched the movie and I was bored through most of it. I didn't care about the characters whatsoever. Like, especially the main character. The main character was just fucking whatever to the extreme. And then at the end, I started thinking, I'm like, actually thinking about the movie, and like, the main character could have been taken out of the movie entirely, and the movie wouldn't have changed because the main character didn't accomplish anything and didn't change throughout the entire movie. He was an entirely optional part that didn't need to be there.
But then it would only be the 12th Warrior.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he was so inconsequential, the main character who the movie's named after, that he couldn't have been. He could have been taken out, and the movie would have been the exact same.
I think. I think he wasn't like the main character of the specific story. Like, he's the main character of the movie, yes, but the story, no. I think he was the storyteller because it showed him at the end writing it down because Bjornfjord, or where the fuck the main guy's name is from
Baby
the Vikings.
Bjorn.
Baby Bjorn died sitting in his chair at the very end, and he wanted someone to tell his story. So I think that was his role. It wasn't explained like at all in the movie. This is just purely conjecture. But I think that's what it was. Because I mean, like, his mission wasn't even to meet these people. It was just they got chased by some other people, and then they got scared off by the Vikings, and they're like, well, the Vikings are either going to give us dinner or murder us. So let's take our chances with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that whole sob story at the beginning of, oh, I coveted someone else's wife and then got kicked out, that never made anything either. Like, he could have just been a regular ambassador, and again, that wouldn't have changed anything in the story. But they had to have that like weird sob story thing in the beginning, and then, shit, there was another part that was really fucking dumb. Yeah, and just the fact that, like, why was he even like in the movie outside of, like you said, he was the narrator that wrote it down, sure, but the movie had nothing to do with him whatsoever, really, other than the fact that he was there. I just don't understand the movie at all.
Well, the Vikings also wouldn't have gone on the journey if he wasn't there, because the Bone Mama, like the final thing that she said was the 13th Warrior had to be someone who wasn't a Norseman or someone from the north, and the only two people that were there that weren't from the north were the translator old man and Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, but like I was trying to find like a link to, because the only thing that makes this movie fantasy in any way is the fortune tellers, but nothing that they said really mattered. Like, sure, you could say like they knew he was there. Obviously this thing is not very historically accurate, but foreigners being around Vikings was not a weird thing. So even if he wasn't there, like, and she still said that, like, they would probably see a foreigner within the next couple days anyway, so it was whatever. But even then, like to me, it felt more like I saw this guy in the room, and I thought it'd be funny to sentence him to death.
It
So-
could have been.
And-
Like this might have just been a story about how he was so unfortunate because he says that he fell in love with someone, but the only scene that we have is them like passing in a hallway and them like making eye contact. So maybe this guy's just like a super incel. No one wants him around, so everywhere he goes, they're like, let's just get rid of him.
Did he end up hooking up with that one random girl?
Yeah.
I looked down for a second, and then I looked back up, and then they were like, "I don't kiss and tell" or whatever, and I was like, "Wait, what? Did I miss like a whole sex scene?" I'm
Yeah.
confused.
No, there was no sex scene. It just showed him waking up, laying beside her.
I was
Fully
confused.
armored.
Yeah, fully armored because you don't.
The
take
armor in this movie, like the
wasn't
costume
invented.
design wasn't horrible in this movie, but the armor choices were like so random. Like the one dude was walking around with like a Coliseum mask at one point, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess those would be around, but like, why?
Actually, one of the I can't remember I was reading an article on it earlier, but a lot of the sets of armor that the Vikings were wearing hadn't even been like invented at that time period yet. So they're just
Yeah.
walking around in future garb for no reason.
Yeah. Can you imagine? So this movie came out in August 27th, and then the same year in March, The Matrix came out.
Oof.
Like that. Like what?
That's where they got the idea for the armor.
Like what the fuck? Can you imagine you go to your like, oh yeah, this sick sci-fi, and they're like, the graphics aren't great, but they still hold up, and then like, where did that 160 million go? Just like those really, really bad sea scenes? Like
No, I think well a lot of it. So it's about 85 million for production, I think, and then because the 160 was production and marketing, so it's a combined effort. So they could have marketed the shit out of it for 80 million and then made it for 80 million, but yeah, it was.
I mean, the buildings were well done, I guess. But
Oh, it's actually one of the top. Looks like one of the top box office bombs. Yeah, it's ever. It's like it goes, and then there's 47 Ronin. Excuse me. After that, which is unfortunate because that was a good one.
Hell yeah, Samurai Keanu.
What else? This list is huge. We should watch this list.
No.
please no.
The Great Wall, Green Lantern. What?
Ugh.
Ryan Reynolds, who stars in the Green Lantern, actually just watched it this past Thursday, or actually Wednesday, the day while he was waiting for the Snyder Cut to be released. He live tweeted it.
He knew it was so bad, he just never watched it for like.
Oh
10
yeah.
years.
Nice.
Nice.
Osmosis Jones. That was a great. Okay.
Osmosis Jones is a great movie. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched it since I was 10, but I remember it being good.
It
I've
made
never
14
even
million,
heard of it.
and it cost 70.
Yeah, well,
I've
when
never
was it
even
made?
heard
'Cause
of that movie.
It was in a fully animated movie, so not fully, but it was
2001.
majority.
I bet you it cost at least $2 million to have what's his face's pimple blow up on the screen.
Bill Murray.
Yeah,
That
that was so
wasn't even-
gross. It lands on her fucking lip.
Yeah.
Oh, and Rollerball's on here too. That's the one he directed right after 13th Warrior. This is a great list. I like that list. All right, we're getting off topic though. Yeah. What can we say positive? Because I know that there's so much negative about it. But yeah, you did say that the costume design was pretty good. Not like the setting, but I guess the setting and then all the like the buildings and stuff like that. It felt
The
I
sets
guess
were okay.
not authentic, but
They didn't cheap out on the blood, so it didn't look like that weird horror movie Orange. So that was good.
Yeah, no, this was someone described this as a Gorn movie, which is a cross between a gore and porn.
I
Yeah,
didn't see any titties.
no, that's why it's Gorn. It's just the blood for the sake of blood. Like it's
Oh.
basically like watching Saw 4 after they gave up on any plot. It was just like, let's just see how much blood we can get out of a human body.
yeah.
I don't know. I enjoyed the movie. Like the sets were good. The locations that they used were good. I did question why the fuck that Viking village was there. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, Vikings are known for sailing and pillaging, right? And that Viking village was
I
in the
mean,
middle of
it
fucking
depends on where
forest.
it was. If it was in England, or if it was supposed to be in England, then it would make sense that they were farmers.
What were they farming though? That land didn't look like very farmable land.
Yeah.
Like saplings, maybe.
Sticks. They were
Yeah.
farming sticks.
Yeah,
Hey.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
All right.
I mean, historically, like the sons of Ragnar like conquered half of Britain and then had like a section of it that they used for farming and shit.
Yeah. So actually, you know what? That could have been like that village could have been in England because they had to cross open water to get there.
Yeah.
Whereas where they met, little brother or Antonio.
Yeah, but I have no idea what the timeline on this shit is. Like,
Yeah, like for all we know, it could be like. Well, I'm assuming it's longer, like months, because he said that he had to travel very far by camel just to get to like the river where he met the Vikings.
Where'd that horse come from that everyone made fun of? He was on camel until they showed up, and then suddenly horse.
I think
Yeah.
he's like they're like, okay, well you can't take your camel with you because we can't fit on the boat, so pick a horse.
So
So he's like, well, I want this one because I can actually get onto it.
I mean, Arabs do have some of the best horses in the world, so I mean, it's not that
Yeah,
weird.
but he just didn't have it in
Like,
the
why
first
even
scene.
show the camel? Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Hey, some of the, I don't know. I was trying to find like what they were calling the I guess like not the mystical people, but the creatures. I was trying to find that somewhere in like Viking lore. I couldn't find it.
Wendell, based off of Grendel.
Oh, okay. Like
Or
Beowulf.
Yeah, that well, because I'm pretty sure the original story was like a telling of like, or it was. Ugh, I don't know how to fucking say this. The story itself was based off of Beowulf, but it was written in a way that it was like one of his gang was writing a story about Beowulf.
Oh,
Okay.
the
So
imagination.
actually, that would explain why the main character of the movie isn't the main character of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I mean, the movie's based on a real Arabian poet, right?
yeah,
But it's still, the whole movie could have just not had that character, and it would have been the exact same. Also, what fucking happened with their like that guy's gonna try and overthrow the Jarl, so we have to show him we're tough, and then like kill one of his guys, and now
Screw
he
you
knows
guys,
we're
I'm going
tricky.
home.
And then nothing comes of that whatsoever, and he just leaves. Like, what the fuck was that whole plot line?
I didn't even get the understanding that like that big dude was the prince's goon until he was already dead, and then they were like, "Meh." But maybe I missed it because I was looking at something else.
yeah, I think you missed it because I understand it perfectly because they showed like when they were talking about setting it up, basically they wanted to show the prince and his goons that like we're not pussies, we don't take shit, fuck with us and you die. So that's
But like,
why
was
the
that
timing
big
was-
dude around the prince?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I was
in
trying to
one
say.
scene, in one scene before that, they're looking at the prince and they're like, "But it can't be the prince himself. How about the redhead?" Okay.
Oh, okay. I missed that entirely.
Yeah. What were you saying, Jordan?
No, that's fine. They covered it.
Yeah, and then what else? Yeah, I guess Michael Crichton actually took over the directing role after the poor audience test. So I guess maybe that could have something to do with it too, because you've got a guy who writes books, directing instead. But this guy, yeah.
I mean, if the movie had already flopped to the point where you have to change like directors and whatnot, I don't think it's the new director's fault. He probably just worked with what he had and was like, "This is kind of like my book, I guess."
Wait, I was looking at my notes. I know how to make a fantasy. He learns Norwegian in
Yeah.
one night based on one conversation by a bunch of drunk people.
Yeah. And also a guy who's never wielded a sword before just turns a claymore into a scimitar and can suddenly fight with tribe people like no one else and just kills them all. That's the
God,
most fantastical thing about this movie is the main character who doesn't matter.
Well, it's based off a myth, so that's pretty much what fantasy is based off myths.
I mean, the fucking everything is based off myth, really. All movies that aren't like super gone into realism are just like,
Yeah, I mean it's fiction for sure. I just don't
yeah.
fantasy. I don't know, but what did you guys think of the choreography in the fights?
Entirely like it wasn't terrible. I think it definitely, yeah, I think it almost represented it a bit more back then because just the fact that a lot of them just didn't die after one sword swing because the evil tribe or whatever, they didn't have a lot of armor. They had like bear hide, but they didn't have a lot of armor. So the fact that you actually just had to hack away at them seemed pretty realistic to the cause because a lot of like the blades aren't super sharp after you're fighting constantly, and apparently chopping wood with your swords too. But,
Yeah, that's bad for swords. Don't do that.
yeah. But some of the fighting seemed pretty good. It seemed like, I don't know, less staged almost, I guess is the word I'm looking for, just because it seemed like everything was happening all at once, almost like the actors themselves were just like, they're just like, hey, just fight, and the actors are like, oh, for fuck's sakes, okay.
Yeah, I mean it looked cheesy to me, but if you're going into it like with like, oh, this is an 80s movie, so it was fine. The only thing I didn't like was the one battle where it was just like complete darkness. Like I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on.
There was, yeah, I found quite a few scenes that were like that. That was just like, we wanted them to look mysterious and not be able to see that they're just regular people. So everyone's just black.
Yeah, well, they also put on a bunch of makeup on their bodies, so it was a little bit harder to tell, especially in the dark, because it seemed like the majority of the time, except for the last attack, it was all at night.
Yeah, I think that was to add on to their facade. Like they definitely knew what they were doing. It almost seemed too like they knew, either they knew Viking lore because of the way that they were like dressed themselves, or when they were coming down the mountain, just causing the giant fire snake, or the things were based off of them. But I think it has to be the fact that they understood Viking lore more, because there's no way that the Vikings got all their lore just from hanging around that little farm.
Well, I mean, they were like pagans, right? Because their symbol was just like a fertility statue.
Yeah, it's never explained in the movie, but the mist monsters, they're actually, in the novel anyways, they're descendants of Neanderthals. So this is, I guess, fairly late / early in the Viking Age. But I feel like the serpent wasn't them; it was the Vikings making that up. Because like, if all you see is a bunch of fire coming down from the mountain, like you obviously at that distance you wouldn't be able to see individual torches. So
yeah,
in their mind they're like, okay, this has got to be a giant creature, like leaving a trail of fire.
Yeah,
instead of the logical conclusion, which is it's just a bunch of dudes with fire.
Yeah.
Because like if it was an actual fire, it would spread, especially in your fucking dry ass forest.
That, and they didn't always have a kid to go run out and grab. They're like, why was there's always a child just in the forest somewhere running away?
It's a guaranteed kill, bro.
Yeah.
One dude's coming out to save that child until they learn that, like, okay, I think they're using these children to get at least one of us.
Maybe that's why they wanted that one broad to kill all the kids so that they didn't get taken.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, we're sick of losing one man guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like, we want at least a battle where we might not lose anyone.
The first kid they find, the like naked one, I feel like he was actually like, either he's a great actor for being like a 5-year-old, or he was just actually just a crying naked baby, and they're just like filming him because he looked upset.
Yeah, the director wanted it to be 100% realistic, so they actually cut his ears off,
yeah,
ripped his clothes off, and then said, "It's like, okay, you're free, run."
And that actor went on to become Jared Leto.
Yeah, and he also played a great Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah.
I thought because I haven't found it on this, but the fight choreography I thought was good, because it wasn't like, okay, like these are your forms and your styles. Like, I don't think Vikings had that really. It was just like, I'm big, I'm strong, I have a giant chunk of metal that's very sharp. I'm gonna swing it at you. Whereas Ahmed or Antonio Banderas, I thought that it looked like he was getting progressively more comfortable with the blade throughout the movie. I don't know if that was just me seeing that or wanting to see it, but like in the beginning, when right after he made the scimitar, he instead of stabbing a dude, he just kept slashing his back.
Yeah.
Which, like, you want to kill someone, like, that'll work over time. But like, you want them dead within the next 5-6 minutes, you just poke them a bit.
Yeah.
And then later on, like the final fight, he's actually like, okay, slash him, get him on the ground, and then stab him a bunch, and then we're good to go. I want to learn more about, like, I wish they went more in depth with his character, because you don't know his backstory. You don't know anything about him, because like we don't know if he was trained with a sword. Obviously, we know he wasn't trained with the Norse sword because those are fucking massive.
Yeah.
But he at least knew something about his saber.
Yeah.
Because he was able to grind it down, which I feel like the timeline should have been different, because grinding down that hunk of iron into that thin sword, that would take a fuck of a long time.
Yeah. No, the guy who's working the grinding stone, he was just fucking, come on, you guys, I just gotta grind it a little bit more. Dude, I'm so tired right now. Like,
my arm fell off 3 minutes
Probably
ago.
make a new sword in the amount of time it takes them to grind it down.
Yeah. And I would have liked to see more weapon making. Because like the Viking weapons I thought were very interesting. Like even in real life, I think they're interesting. Because they used to do any animals or anything that they killed, they would take the bones and they would put it in their next weapon. And in their mind, they were like, okay, my weapon is going to absorb the power from this animal that I killed.
Okay, yeah.
But what they really ended up doing was making a like primitive form of steel, because they added carbon from the bones.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate it is, but I remember hearing that like the Englishmen were like, their fucking weapons are basically magical because they would just like slice through their shitty fucking ones.
Yeah.
They were like, what the fuck?
We cast ours. They're just like, no, we're getting a hunk of metal with some animal bones in it that we just smack.
Did Baby Bjorn's sword at the end of it, like when he either held it up, did it seem like it had like runes etched in it too? I think it seemed like that.
The hilt?
Not just the hilt, but the actual blade itself. It almost, I think that maybe it's just the way it was hammered.
I think it was just the way it was hammered, because like these didn't look that well done, which also kind of confused me, because I thought that Vikings took a little bit more pride in their weaponry, but these ones looked like very, very shitty. Like basically they get the metal and then they just hammer the shit out of it until it's in the somewhat shape of a sword, and then they sharpen the edges.
I think that was more just the movie, like not really knowing that much about Viking lore, but
yeah, it seems like they didn't actually want to go in depth and do research. Although the studio execs were fucking with this movie from like day one. I believe, yeah. So they were like, they don't want it to be like a gory porn movie. They want it to have some plot. So like the guy that they originally shot it in like a PG-13 format instead of rated R. And then once it was finished, the execs were like, you know what? No, we want this to be a little bit more nitty, a little bit more gritty. It's like, why couldn't you just told him that at the beginning? Like, let him shoot it rated R, and then you can edit it down to a PG-13 if necessary.
Yeah, it seemed weird. Like the beginning of the movie, like Jeff was saying, like the whole intro and all that stuff, like it seemed weird that they did that whole intro and then just like threw it out. Like that seemed way more interesting than what we like. Sure, we could have gotten to the Vikings and stuff like that, but it seemed weird. Like, why have all that set up? Like, they very well could have just been like, the Vikings could have just sworn by and like fucking picked him up and then like started the story there. Because like Vikings were traveling all over the world. Like,
but I think this way it was like they introduced the Vikings in a way of they might protect us, but they might kill us instead, which is a little bit more realistic, because they were getting chased by someone or a group of people that we don't think were interested.
Like they're Mongolians.
They could have been, but they were never introduced. It was just like, they're chasing us, they're going to kill us, and then they get to a river and they run away because the Vikings are
They were the Tartar Sauce Clan. The Tartars. That's what they
Yeah.
called them, was the Tartars.
Okay.
The
Did you guys have subtitles?
what's that?
Subtitles?
No, we didn't. I didn't turn subtitles on.
I had subtitles, so it I don't know if maybe it was just missed or something, but mine said who was chasing them, and it went through this whole like area of like what he was traveling through and all this kind of stuff and the different clans and whatnot. And it was the Tartars that were the like super aggressive ones that killed everyone, and that's why they were running.
Yeah. What that ceremony for the guy's dad? That the when they woke up and they were all drinking and spitting into that bowl after the day after.
That's an actual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but any Viking thing I've ever seen, that's part of it. Like they all commune, face wash, and blow their nose into this bowl for some reason. I don't really know what.
Well, they did more than face wash. They washed the cottonmouth right out of themselves.
Yeah.
And then that guy blew some snot rocks, and Tony Banderas' character is like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I didn't drink last night, so."
Yeah.
I want them to have like some comedy to it. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna wash myself with that. That's disgusting. Goes outside, pees on his hands to wash his face.
Yeah.
At least it's sterile, fuckers.
And did they? I know in like Roman and Greek time, especially Roman time, the assimilation of like new gods and stuff like that of civilizations that they conquered and stuff. They just brought that into their own. They didn't like tell them it was wrong or anything like that. Did that happen with the Vikings too? Because it seemed when they were talking to the Arabian Spaniard that he was talking about Allah and then the Prophet Muhammad and stuff like that. And this guy was just like, "Yeah, cool. I'll write that too."
Yeah, they took slaves, and they would kind of like just let them do whatever. And sometimes they would even marry their slaves, and you could earn your freedom and shit like that. So I mean, they didn't really have like a written language. They just had like their runes and shit. So, but yeah, like they definitely were not as prejudiced as the English and all that shit. So
as long as you didn't resist them.
Yeah.
If you resisted them, then you died.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy who played Baby Bjorn's actually starred in Vikings too. He played Eric. I don't know
That
who that
doesn't
is.
surprise me. He's fucking
And
massive.
Ulfric Stormcloak
Oh hell yeah.
from Skyrim.
I kind of had an issue. Like, I don't know if this is just an assumption on my part, but from the very beginning of the movie, I assumed he was like Muslim. Antonio Banderas' character, and it is later confirmed when he prays, but that's literally the only mention. And it's not even like, okay, he's doing his prayers, which you're supposed to do. I believe it's like 5 times a day or something like that. That was the only time it's shown in the movie, and it's like right before a battle. So I don't know if the studio was just like trying to cover it up, like we're gonna keep it on the low, like we don't want to talk about him being a Muslim, but like he could be.
Yeah.
You think about it real hard, he might be, but don't say it.
Yeah.
Never say it.
I mean, throughout the movie, there was a whole bunch of times he was talking about there being one true God and his prophet was Muhammad, right?
Yeah, that was only three times in the beginning.
Yeah, not even in the beginning when he was talking to teaching the one guy that he could write sounds, right?
Yeah, that was just as they were coming or in the middle of their voyage after he learned their language. It's still early on, but yeah, he's right though. Like Muslims pray like a lot, and maybe those things just got cut out. But yeah, it seemed like an odd placement. That you're just like, oh yeah, just before battle, I'm gonna pray, even though they usually. I think Muslims have like set times, like that. There's like prayer time, and then that's.
Yeah, and I don't know the specifics of it, but I believe it's about 4 or 5 times a day, and they have to be facing, I want to say east. And they're usually, if it's available, they have to have like a prayer mat.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they have a little hat. And I don't know what that's for. That was just style, but
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if the author even bothered to include that with his book, like, or if he was just kind of like, he's Arab and something.
Yeah, because the book. Here I'll read a thing from Wikipedia about Eaters of the Dead. Krishnan explains in an appendix that the book was based on two sources. The first 3 chapters are a retelling of Ahmed ibn Fadlan's personal account of his actual journey north and his experiences with and observation of Varangians, which I believe is just the Vikings. And the remainder is based on the story of Beowulf. So he might have gone into it, but I don't know. Like, again, because having a descriptor every 3 paragraphs is like, okay, Ahmed is stopping to pray again.
Yeah.
And just explaining the process over and over again probably would make for a very good book.
Yeah. Longer book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if you ever need filler, just add the prayers in.
yeah. add a muscle character to your book.
His
Yeah.
editor's just like, we need higher word count. He's like, I got this.
Yeah.
It's fucking that
Copy
equals a
and
full
paste.
chapter of Allahu Akbar.
Oh yeah, so it was the Tartars, and it's a Turkish
Fucking Turks.
group. Yeah, that was chasing them down in the beginning.
Oh, that would make sense because the other guy like knew Greek, right?
Yeah,
The Greeks don't like the Turks. They fight all the time.
yeah. So, and apparently camels don't like them either. They disguise themselves as horses.
That was actually just a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
That was the fantasy element we missed.
Big titty bitches and shapeshifters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually triggered when the horse jumped over the Clydesdale. Like, there's no fucking way you can make a horse do that.
Because it was a camel.
Known jumpers.
Yeah. Speaking of that fertility statue, that I did like your comment that even back then the world was ruled by big titty goth girls.
Yep. That's what it's all about, man. They provide for us.
What about
Mommy milkers.
Yeah. What about the fucking fortune teller that they went to at the village of the special needs kids? She was fucking ripped. Like she was out of her tree high. So much so that they just like, here, I'll do your fortune, but I gotta go. Like, I'm out.
I'm staying
And then
laying
just-
down.
I mean, Viking berserkers, what they used to do is they would feed their horses magic mushrooms and then drink their piss and get high off it.
I feel like you could probably just cut out the middleman and just eat the
Yeah,
mushrooms yourself.
I mean, they also did that, but that's what the berserkers did. Like, they were just like fucking psychos.
I guess it makes sense because, like, if you're in the middle of a battle, you can't really stop to hork down a bunch of mushrooms. Like, this is
Yeah.
Skyrim where you can pause.
But that was like basically all of Viking religion and culture was just magic mushrooms.
Where did you come up with your gods? Well, I went in the forest. I ate about a pound of mushrooms, and then I spoke to someone.
Yep.
I like how real world accurate that fortune teller was. She just says some vague generic shit. Like, how do we kill this fucking pagan tribe? Well, kill the thing they worship and their leader. That ought to stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably say that about anyone. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just all like fortune tellers in the past. I think were just people that were very smart and understood. Like, not everyone knows common sense, so like that's why they speak in riddles. Like, what do we do if we need to defeat this army? And they're like, cut off the head and the body will no longer move. Like, no shit, idiot.
Like, what?
But like, that's
Stab
maybe
till
they were
dead.
stupid back then too. Because if I was in the army and I saw the general get killed, I'd be like, okay, who's next in command? I wouldn't just be like, oh fuck, let's cheese it.
Yeah.
Like, we still have 4 dudes for their every one. We could take.
See,
I
the
mean,
guy-
it depends. Like, losing your commander is always gonna rattle your troops. So, especially if you only have one. Like, I don't know how structured this tribe was, but it seemed like they had one chieftain and that was it, which would definitely rattle them.
You got big mommy milker mama. You got.
She got executed already.
Yeah, no. I'm this is the hierarchy. So you got the big
Oh.
mommy milkers. You got Papa Suck, and then the
with
boys.
his, with his horns.
Yeah.
The boys.
Papa Suck with his horny powers,
Yeah.
and then the boys. And once Papa Suck goes down, no one's stepping up to grab those horny powers.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's
they
no
can't-
mommy milkers.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I don't want the mantle.
Apparently, I was reading it was supposed to be an old lady, but they didn't want to have the main characters execute an old lady, so they made it a young woman.
Because
But they
that's
have-
somehow better.
And they're
Yeah.
okay with just like telling the one fucking girl, "Hey, just in case, here are these knives, so you can just kill
Yeah,
the
just
children.
kill the children. It's fine.
But don't kill the old lady,
Well, because
who's
no,
near death, anyways."
that it's a sacrifice. Those kids are a sacrifice. I'm sparing them from getting eaten alive. Whereas I'm pretty sure they don't eat them alive. Like they kill them and then start nibbles. So
They're
either way,
eaters
they're
of
gonna
the
die
dead.
and then get eaten.
Clues in the name. They're eaters of the dead.
Well,
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, this one's still alive. Stab it. Fuck it. Stop moving.
Just kick. This the kid just starts whining. Fuck it, ruin my appetite. I'm done, guys. Like, fuck you.
Sick of this. Bob, fucking remove the heads.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sick of this every fucking time. I'm down for a delicious snack, and all of a sudden, please don't eat me. Fuck off. Back to processing.
Yeah, the was that like it must have been some sort of paste because that was pretty black on Venom for Mommy Milkers when she went against Baby Bjorn. Like she just dipped that fang, which I don't know where that fang came from.
It was a rib bone.
Was it just a bone? It looked like a fang.
No, it was a bone taped to her two fingers.
Oh, okay.
Was it
Maybe
tape?
she broke her finger and that was just a splint she just happened to have that day. Like, thank Christ I got this sharp fucker.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, I wasn't sure because it was kind of dark because I had it on my second monitor, and my second monitor is really dark for some reason. I couldn't tell if she just had like a fucked up hand or if it was tape or what was happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like she had a strong hand with a fucking toothpick through it or something.
Yeah.
It was a coke nail.
Yeah, Baby Bjorn should not have taken that long to kill that thing because he was a giant, and even like one swing, like she just like he seemed like he should have been able to catch her as soon as he swung the sword, and then he could have just caught her and then just
Yeah, I mean, well, I can understand a little bit why he was trying to be cautious because, okay, he thinks this is some sort of deity, like this is their goddess, this is who they
Yeah.
worship, or who interprets the goddess for them, so they've got to have some sort of mystical powers. Whereas if it was one of the other soothsayers, they would have just walked up, grabbed her by the wrist with her fucking spiky finger, and been like, "Okay, you're done. I've disabled you now."
yeah, she just goes
And then-
limp. Oh.
Repeatedly stab in the stomach.
Well, I would think that too. You walk in on a woman that just has a fucking exotic coral snake wrapped around her fucking neck.
Whatever
There's a
happened to
milk
the
snake.
snake? It just like fly away.
I think when she stood up, it probably just like fell off. Cause every other person was just squatting by fires in a cave, which horrible fucking idea. Where's the ventilation? They would all die.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone's just squatting. So I think she just like stood up,
Wait.
fucking yoked the snake.
You can't sit fully on cold stone. That's how you get hemorrhoids.
Let's say yeah. Although my original thought or my initial thought when I saw her like squatting there with a bowl of some viscous liquid was she was collecting her
Come.
period.
Or period.
What color is your cum? Because that was dark as fuck.
That's concerning.
It looked like
How did it
boiled Gatorade.
that was that.
You just eat nothing but blackberries, okay?
Oh.
Blackberries and fucking beets. That's it.
Yeah, but the I don't know. The tribe had a very like Native American look to them. Like they definitely didn't seem like they were just random. Because if they're in Europa, is what they call it, which was just Europe. Like it's mostly white people there, right? Besides the slaves that are just yoinked over.
They were white. They were just wearing African battle paint for some reason.
Yeah, and I think
Was that-
that's where like
That was 100% painted, was it?
sorry.
Yeah, because like when they died, you saw like their underarms and they weren't painted.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a combination of battle paint and just overall filth.
Yeah.
Because while they were by waterfalls, I don't think any of them actually bathed that often.
Yeah.
Just that I didn't pay that close of attention. I just assumed they were black with the random paints too. Which I also questioned why they were black in like fucking Northern Europe.
No, yeah. So it's just well, I think it also might be based off like the book because they're supposed to be descended from Neanderthals.
Okay, so
And whenever I've seen like Neanderthals in museums and books and stuff, they've always had like
big.
tan to darker skin, right?
Yeah.
Also, I just went to the movie on my phone and I confirmed that she just has like a weird bone taped to her finger. It might be a little. It looks like actually something. Like, remember those rings that we used to buy? I think it might have been just like me and Jeff. Like you get the full ring that goes over your entire finger, and then it's got
it's
a
like
claw
a
on
claw?
the end.
Yeah.
It looks like one of those to be honest, but it goes over 2 fingers.
You're just giving him the finger the whole time.
Extra support.
Yeah, but it's like the first 2 fingers. So
Oh.
the happy time.
that's a
fingers, if
coke
you
meal
will.
for sure. That's
Yeah.
a lot of coke. That explains it. Hey, back to the whole
Snooters.
like, why do they just like not like chewing the mushrooms? Is that the thing? So they just got to drink the horse piss?
I think it was the taste. I don't know. I've never had mushrooms, but everyone that I've talked to is like they do not eat them raw. It's always you make them into a tea, or you put them on a pizza, or you feed them to your dog and then drink your dog's piss straight from the tap.
See, that doesn't make me want to do them because the fact that
They're
these
not
pe- they
that
would,
bad.
They would
They're not
rather
pleasant, but
drink
they're not,
piss
like-
These are Vikings. I mean, they fucking do it. They would have done it anyways.
just because
It was sterile. One of their medicines was boiled down cow piss. I don't think they have too much of a problem just with the ammonia. They were like, okay, wow,
to be
this
fair,
is
Vikings are crazy.
yeah. Well, Vikings probably just saw the horses and they're like, okay, this is a big fucking vehicle that runs on grass. Also, it dispenses free tea.
yeah.
Tea break. Horse said so.
Yeah, I don't know what would have come first in that situation. Like, someone
Horse piss.
probably the piss, right? Like, well, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't. Well, yeah, that's where like
You
gotta wonder.
You're like they were either so desperate for a drink that they just drank the horse's piss, or they already had discovered that magic mushrooms were cool, and they were like, "What happens when pee?"
And the
Maybe it
king
was-
said,
maybe it was like a form of dulling it down, like when you add water to whiskey, like you're diluting it a little bit by letting it go through the horse first.
or they were drinking horse piss because they were voyagers, right? You go on
Yeah.
sea and then you're just like, well, I can't drink the seawater because cousin Fred already died from doing that, so let's milk a horse.
"Don't milk the horse."
That's the male horse.
The tea, my tea's just as salty as the sea. Oh, cool.
How do you know piss tastes salty?
Hey,
How do you
Not
know that
piss.
piss tastes salty?
not piss,
Not piss?
white piss.
Come.
You
Why do
got
know
it.
that? Why do you know that, Zach?
Hey, that's
Why
what
I
people
pee
say.
white?
You've been drinking cummies?
I don't think so.
You think if I get high for like just stay high for 4 to 5 days and then blow a load in someone's mouth, they get a little contact high.
I mean,
Horses used
maybe.
to do it.
Oh, all right. What are we? We're getting to the. We got about
We're
10
off the
minutes
rails on this by the rails.
Also,
Yeah.
Justin, I just want to confirm. Do you know that it was horses? Because I just found a thing online that said Vikings used to stuff a virgin girl with psychedelic mushrooms and then drink her piss before battle.
I had always heard horses, but I mean that sounds just as reasonable.
As long as they were virgins, I don't have an issue with that. The horses, not the girls.
"Oh no, a horse."
There's a bunch of Vikings
This
going
one's
to battle.
used.
Gatorade bottles full of horse piss.
Like, you make a tube, you stick it in there, and you just got it. It's like a hydro pack, a camel bag. You just shove it up the horse.
Oh man. What else? What other notes I got? Oh yeah, fucking after the one battle, Antonio Banderas just fucking wheezing. That motherfucker had asthma for sure. I did
One
like.
thing-
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say that like it's in this movie and it's in like most Viking things. One thing I always appreciate about Viking things is they're so obsessed with like dying in battle and all this kind of stuff that whenever something dangerous comes, they just like go a little insane and start laughing. I always appreciate it that about Viking stuff. I think it makes their characters funny.
Yeah.
Like the one guy in there's going to swim underwater. He's like, "Well, if they don't follow us, I guess that means it's too far to swim." And then he dives under. That kind of shit always makes me laugh.
Fun fact: one of the actors actually got stuck underwater and got saved like just barely in time. So they took a 3-day break to shooting.
I hear that every time there's some underwater scene. They're like, "Oh, well, almost died, even though there was attendants on scene." It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, in those cases, I feel like every actor should have a little air tank with a mouthpiece on them. So like, in case they do get stuck or they get fucking panicked, they go, okay, yoink, and then you see it and they're like, okay, something's obviously wrong. This fucker just went for the emergency breath.
Yeah, it's probably just actors being dumb and be like, "I want to feel the fright, man. I'm a method actor, man."
Yeah.
A method actor, drown me. This person drowned in the movie. Fucking drown me. Bring me back.
Especially doesn't make sense in this movie since there was no actual underwater scene. That fucking thing could have just been like a kiddie pool, and they're just like, "No, you gotta go under that rock. We gotta immerse you."
Yeah. What else? Oh, I did like the fact that even though he just picked up the Viking language super quickly, but the fact that there was that gap, like there's a lot of movies that'll do that, like
They
like-
speak a foreign language for like 10 seconds and then suddenly it's English with no context.
like
Yeah.
everyone's speaking English, even though you're just like, okay, it's like I think they did that in The Great Wall. I think that was it. Like, I think a good chunk of it was English. Like, they still talked in Chinese, but the Chinese knew English like immediately. They're just like, and you're just like, this time, like, you shouldn't know this language. Like it doesn't make sense for the way that they can be communicating. But this movie did it okay, where it was just these guys spoke Norwegian, and then the one guy spoke Greek to the other guy who spoke Greek, and then
spoke Arabic.
yeah. So it was good to see that. I enjoy when movies actually do well in that category, where it helps it be more realistic and pull you in, because you're just like, okay, that makes sense. But then
I just don't. I would prefer a timeline. Like, at least show fucking like 30 different cuts of him, like them setting up camp and taking it down, and so like a lot of time has passed instead of him just like magically picking up a language in what, 2 nights. They stopped.
Yeah, like at the end of the journey when they get back to fucking Scandinavia or wherever they were supposed to be coming from or whatever, like be like, it was like 2 months, and then he picked up, even though he wouldn't pick up Scandinavian like that in 2 months. But still, he's just like, they did it over like 1 or 2 days instead of the entire trip. Then the trip was after he learned the language. Like, seems like a missed opportunity.
It was kind of strange that they made like this. I guess they just didn't have a way to show it properly, but like it was like almost like he was a deaf person trying to read lips rather than learn a language. Like he was really focused on their mouths, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
The way I rationalize that is like for pronunciation, because like you can hear
I
someone
guess,
pronounce
yeah.
a word, but like until you actually see them pronounce a word.
yeah.
Like if I said plop right now, and a non-English speaker heard me say that, they would have no idea what's going on with my mouth. But if
What's going on in your mouth? What that mouth do?
You want to find out, sweetness? $20, I suck.
But yeah. All right, let's get some ratings going. All right, let's start with Justin.
Um,
Why do you
don't
never
know.
start it? Like you always bring it up, and then you're like, and we're gonna pass it off to this person.
Yeah, it gives me time to think. What?
Oh yeah, you fucking selfish bitch.
We're all hosts, but I'm the one that does the intro, so I get to choose.
He's the
top
big
six.
host.
the big hoe.
I'm saying I could do an intro. It's not
I was bored in this movie, even though it had Vikings in it, so I think that gets like extra bad from me. I would say it was more enjoyable than Weird Tiger Thing, though.
I don't. I disagree with that one personally.
Yeah, I don't know why you like that movie. It was terrible. I don't know. Like a 3, I guess. A 3 or a 4. Would not rewatch. Doesn't really have much going for it. If you want a story about Beowulf, probably just watch the one with Angelina Jolie titties in it, because like at least it's got that.
Yeah, the animated movie with fucking.
Yeah.
I loved Grendel in that movie, to be honest.
Yeah. But probably just watch that instead of Spanish Muslim men. And yeah.
All right, I'll go next because apparently that's a problem.
You selfish bitch.
I give it a 5. I go 5. The story seemed a little rushed, but it definitely all connected and stuff like that. So flowed together well. The action was pretty good. The period, like the time period of what they were trying to represent, seemed pretty good. So the setting and everything. So yeah, I'll go 5. I'd probably watch it again just because I watch everything.
Yeah, I don't know. This one was a hard one because I really enjoy the movie, even with all like the plot holes and everything like that. I would like them to expand more on character backgrounds because you don't know, or as far as I know, you don't get to see what Ahmed's job is beforehand. Like you know that he's obviously in proximity to the king.
Yeah.
But he's not high enough up because some fucking old douchebag who has a young wife and got jealous because they looked at each other was just like, King, he looked at my wife. And then the king was like, all right, you're out of here, kid. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like them to expand more on that, and give a better timeline of the movie because again, you don't know like how long it's been. So I'm gonna give it a 5 as well.
I'm gonna give this one a 1.5. This is the worst movie we've watched so far, in my opinion.
Your opinion is wrong.
Yeah.
I don't see any redeeming qualities for this movie. It's a big yikes for me.
A big yikes.
Yeah.
An oof even?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like how everyone he gives though this is the worst movie we watched so far.
Yeah,
I have
Even
only said
though-
that twice, and that was the 2 that I rated like 1.5.
Also, I don't know. I'm not basing it off movies that we previously watched when I do my ratings. I'm just going by like what's in the movie. Just I don't like comparing movies because like sometimes I'll find a flaw that is in both of them, but it doesn't bug me as much in one movie.
Yeah. Or unless you're like doing like remake.
Yeah.
Or reboot. I think like reboot is the one.
Reboot, yeah. Reboots or remakes I will 100% judge based off like the other iterations of the movie. Also this one had no fucking trains in it, so
Yeah, weren't invented yet. Feels bad.
fucking bullshit.
Speaking of reboot, whatever happened to the remake of Reboot?
It's on Netflix, is it not?
Is that the
Or
live
did it
action
actually
one?
get made?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember hearing about it getting remade, and I was like, oh, I loved that show as a kid. I should watch that.
I think that like they do nodes to the original Reboot, like they have the original Reboot server in the actual room. Because I remember watching it at least the first season.
I recall that show being like super dark.
I don't know. I never watched
Like in the
it.
later season,
Yeah,
like it got like
it's
really
YTV.
weird.
Yeah, it was YTV. We didn't have that. We had an antenna growing up.
Yeah.
Oh.
About 4
We got-
o'clock every day, I had to go downstairs and change it so that it was a better fucking
Feels-
signal.
Feels poor, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real poor. This movie is a 4 out of 10. It's 3.625 out of 10. We'll round that up to a 4 or 3.63.
Yeah.
No mention of trains. There was not as many kids, which is good. The only time kids were in the movie or mentioned was when one was mutilated, one was running away from a tribe that was going to eat it, and then the other time was when the kids were about to get killed. Don't let them take them alive. Kill the kids. So that's a big plus for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? Oh yeah. So next week. Oh yeah. We should probably do that. Eh? What do we got?
What? We can't.
The-
We can't hear your thoughts.
The next.
You need to tell us what you're thinking about before you talk.
The next movie that we will be watching is Mystic Knights of Tir Nagog.
Fuck yeah!
Holy shit! This one.
I'm scared to watch this because I've never heard of it, but it's clearly important to you guys, and I don't
It-
want to shit on
Okay,
it.
no. You can feel free to shit on it. The
Yeah,
reason I'm
it's-
so excited, one, because I remember watching I downloaded the TV show probably almost a decade ago actually, and it was garbage.
Yeah.
So this is more me just like being excited to one that Jeff found me a fucking copy of it, and I get to watch a movie from my childhood and tear it apart with my friends because it's going to be horrible. Like, I don't expect a good movie, just expect something that is like Tokyo Gore Police. So
Whoa,
bad that it's
whoa, whoa,
entertainment.
Just favorite movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that a literary classic? Was that a classic movie with the fucking
That
alligator
was a
vagina?
spooky,
was,
scary. Don't be too high watching that movie.
That was a contemporary commentary on the state of police in Japan. Thank you.
Ah, yes, the police in Japan shove people into alligator pussy.
All right. So we got Mystic Knights next week. Catch us on Twitch every Saturday around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Twitch.tv/bytherailside, where we'll be gaming and interacting with you guys, the listeners. Follow us on
Sorry, let me correct that, listener.
yeah. Follow us on Twitter at byrailside. What else we got? Oh yeah, check out the Schneider Cut for sure. What other big movies are coming out this week? Kong versus Godzilla. That should be a good one. That's coming out soon.
Wow.
I disagree.
And Mortal Kombat. I'm actually very
Mortal
excited.
Kombat, I'm hyped for. Everything else you said, nah, I don't know.
I just don't.
You're not hyped
understand
for
how-
Twitch?
I don't understand how Kong could beat Godzilla in any fucking world. He is a tiny ape. He stand on top of building. Godzilla not building over.
He grew up. He's grown up.
Fuck that.
I mean,
done it.
in the black and white like claymation Kong movie, he rips a T-Rex apart like by the jaw. Is pretty dope.
Yeah, he
never
did
seen
that.
Yeah,
in,
they did that in the newer one too.
Kong
Oh, did
Skull
they?
Island.
Jack Black. was-
All right.
No, that's Peter Jackson's King Kong.
It's pretty metal for a Jack Black
Right.
movie, isn't it?
I don't think it's a Jack Black.
Jack Black didn't do the movie. He was just in
Yeah.
one of them. I didn't know if it was that one. I just remember him being in a Kong movie.
Yeah, he was in the Peter Jackson one, 2003. Peter Jackson's King Kong, and then they did Kong Skull Island. Is the most recent one, and that one's based off of like King Kong in the 50s. So then King Kong grows up a little bit, and that's why he's fighting Godzilla.
It's
Huh.
not. He can't just grow up like that because his island wouldn't support him on that side. The size
You know how
of
many
Godzilla,
banana seeds?
Do you know how big those bananas have to be? Or
Yeah,
how plentiful? Like, he'd have to live on a continent the size of North America.
he farms.
Just to. No, he doesn't. Not on that tiny ass island.
Yeah, farmed idiot.
This is not Minecraft where you just build a vertical farm in a 4x4 square.
100% you could. Anyways, all right.
This is a little off topic, but you reminded me when you said Godzilla. A movie come out. I don't know if it's entirely in Japanese or if there is an English version, but apparently the movie Shin Godzilla is actually a good Godzilla movie, unlike pretty much all the other ones.
Shin Godzilla, eh? Well, maybe we'll have to
Yeah.
save that for when we do foreign movies. Let's see. Well, it came out in 2016.
I don't remember where I read it, but I saw someone like recommended it, and then everyone else was like, "Yeah, that's the best Godzilla movie out of like all of them." And I was like,
Apparently, there's 8 forms of evolution of Shin Godzilla, and fucking form 5 through 7 looks dope.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know anything about it. So.
I just googled Shin Godzilla, and it was one of like the first pictures. The
like,
5th one is
large
kind of
scale.
like janky. Like the 4th iteration of it looks like classic Godzilla, and the 5th one looks like if you paid a furry artist to make a fucking version of you as Godzilla.
Yeah.
And then
It's
the
kind
6th one is 100% a Dark Souls version of Godzilla.
All right, yes, those. What else we got? I feel like I wanted to say one more thing. Oh,
Follow
what?
us on Spotify. Go out and give a homeless person $5 from 17 feet away. Crumple it up into a ball and throw it at them.
Justin, you got anything you want to shout out?
Nope. You should watch Zach play League of Legends and laugh at him.
Yes, that also be on By the Railside, Twitch.tv, probably Tuesdays and Fridays, or we'll be playing other games, or other times during the week, but those are the days we're aiming for. Jeff, you got
A
anything?
subscriber yesterday.
What?
You got a subscriber yesterday.
Yeah, we got a subscriber and a donation. I'm so good. That was a 12-hour
Big
stream.
money.
That hurt. Jordan, you got anything you want to shout out?
Shout out my dad's for shooting his load in my mom's. Making me. I was my dad's best cum shot. You were second best.
Okay, I'll take that.
You know what? Third best. Fuck you.
Oh man.
Is that one time in college where you just like passed it?
Jeff, you got anything you want to shout out? You already answered that? Yeah, but he didn't say
No.
anything. All right. So we got 2 no's. You guys got to work on that. All right. Yeah. We'll see you guys next week or later on tonight. Your furniture looks great.
God.
Can't.
God.